back another week.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. Welcome here to the RMAC Weekly Podcast, episode number 2. I am Miles Dunklin, and glad to be joined by my partner there, TC McPhee, as he's known on Twitter. Antonio, how you doing, buddy? How was your first week of real live football?
It's great to be back. I'm really excited. I watched a bunch of games, watched a ton of D2, watched a ton of D1. It was just great. Just football. I'm a guy that wakes up at like 5 a.m. So like I'm on ESPN College Game Day all the way through all the games. I had like multiple laptops, a couple monitors. It was a fun time.
Nice. So yeah, if you were watching College Game Day, that was the beginning of my suffering for the day as I did attend Texas A&M. So it was a disappointing Saturday in my house, and you guys can probably hear I'm a little under the weather right now. So my only beef with that was I couldn't just lay on the couch on Sunday and watch NFL football. So my illness came 1 week too early, but hopefully I got it out of the way before I get back on the mic tomorrow night as Mines takes on West Texas A&M. So.
Yeah. Well,
yes,
before we get to that, let's we got some games to actually talk about this time around, which is really cool. And we actually have some video for our first game, CSU-Pueblo and SD Mines. Yeah, Pueblo comes out. They're gonna win this game 35-6, and we were wondering, what are they going to do at quarterback replacing Chance Fuller? And I think they have their answer in Larson. This guy can play, as you can see.
No doubt. Devin Larson was 30 out of 45 for 508 yards and 5 touchdowns. And, they didn't even really get the running game going in this game too much. 28 for 88 on the ground. South Dakota Mines did a good job there. But, Larson just tore it up. And then Reggie Retzlaff, who we already knew was a baller here in the RMAC, but he definitely announced his presence here in the 2024 season. 11 catches, 241 yards, 3 touchdowns, had a handful of highlight grabs as well. So, we talked about them last week as being a team that's dangerous, right? And I think they definitely came out. They showed they're as dangerous as any team in the league.
Oh yeah, I think they definitely want to get their running game going, but I don't think there's any way you can be upset with putting up all this offense in your first game. It just shows you whatever they've been doing in practice is really translating from the film room to the practice field to the games, and I think Coach Vijo has to be really excited about that kind of start for his team.
And no doubt about it. I mean, they dominated across the board. You hold South Dakota Mines, who, yes, we talked about it last week. They lost a lot with Jaden Johansson, who went and took on, Missouri last week where he played there at Murray. It didn't go very well, but in terms of the scoreboard, but big time talent there, and then a big time talent in Nolan. And so, they were missing those guys on offense. As you can see there on the graphic, Dryden and Hoatston, who were the guys that we knew were going to be players. They did show up, 8 catches, 60 yards, but Thunderwolves just dominated this football game here. Daniel Bowen led them with 8 tackles on defense, and across the board, really just did exactly what they hope to do, I'm sure, coming out of the gate. And we talked last week, Antonio, was this a team that we said, hey, we don't know who's going to be the quarterback because it's one of those deals where it's a quarterback competition because you don't have a quarterback, or were there multiple good options on the roster? And I think the answer is, yeah, there were good quarterbacks on the roster, and Devin Larson certainly introducing himself to the rest of the league there with 500 yards and 5 touchdowns. I'm sure that turned some heads around the rest of the league. You were a defensive back. What would be your take if you were a player in the league and you saw that week 1 or week 0 rather from somebody you didn't even know who they were?
I definitely get my eyes raised. I definitely have them on my radar and be trying to, get some quick tells and some early looks at them in what they're presenting. Because, I mean, that's just amazing. I really love the efficiency. The 30 for 45, like the 500 yards is amazing, completing those deep balls. He has the guys that can win those 50-50 balls. He can throw them up there, and guys like Retzlaff can come down with them. Something I do want to point out on the other side for the Hard Rockers, I do think that their front 7 showed really well defensively, shutting down Pueblo, obviously giving up 500 yards passing. I'm sure they're not happy as a defense, but guys like Jacob Suave, he had himself a day, a tackle and a half for loss, a sack. He had a pick down on the goal line. just because they lost, I do still think that they probably have some things that they're excited about, to move forward into next week.
No doubt. Also got to shout out the punter here. 11 punts, which, you never want to be that busy on a Saturday afternoon, but 11 punts for 474, including a 72-yarder and a 43-yard average. And Connor Taylor did make 2 field goals of over 35 yards. So special teams, super sound. I think Jake Martinelli, the numbers there, they clearly have some trust in him to drop back and throw the football. And look, this is a tough week 1 opponent. CSU was ready. And there will be better days here for this Hard Rocker squad. But it was nice to see the guys that we kind of thought would be there. We're definitely there. But for Martinelli and company, they're going to need to get back on the winning side of things. They've got Michigan Tech tomorrow. We'll preview that game in a minute, but that's a team that hung tough with Bemidji last week. So certainly don't want to start 0-2 if you're the Hard Rockers.
Oh, yeah, they definitely don't want to start that way. Well, moving on to our next game, we actually got some more video, thank God. We got Mesa taking on Texas A&M Kingsville, and this one, the Mavericks, I think they just came out and really proved that they are growing as a team. They really are maturing, winning a dog fight of a game. This game wasn't necessarily pretty offensively, but I think Mesa went out. Their defense – I was very high on their defense. I thought their defense could be really good, and I think it went out and showed it. They gave up that opening possession score that you just saw there, but I think they responded really well. And obviously, look at Leslie Richardson responding right here, taking the ball right down the field, showing off the athleticism here. I think he lost a little bit of weight over the summer, and showing that he can use the field a little bit. I think if he adds that element to his game, it really could take it to the next level.
Yeah, their defense definitely showed up. Charlie Smith, 11 tackles. Liban Shangolo, 10 tackles. Jason Tommy, we shouted him out last week. He has a nose for the football. He found a way to get another interception there on defense. Local product from just down the street from me there at Ralston Valley. Now, my question for you would be, will the passing game be able to continue to evolve? Is Leslie Richardson healthy? I know he had to leave the game there in favor of the backup, and just 80 yards, 2 INTs. Obviously, really nice for Mesa to get a week 1 win. To your point, maturing. That was an ugly win. An ugly win is a lot better than a pretty loss. But can they continue to evolve there and mature offensively? And what's the status on Richardson?
I think those are big questions. I can't say that I have the answers to those questions. I think only time will tell. But I mean, they're going to have a big test. They get a week off, so Leslie will have some time to rest up and get healthy. But they're playing Central Washington, and that's going to be – you saw Central Washington firsthand yourself last year. So that's a team that can really play. So we're going to find out a lot about Mesa. But I do think that this was a statement win going down into Kingsville and winning a game like that. I think it shows Mesa really has – they might be ready to take that step that last week I said they may be a year off. What if they're – this is why I love the games, because the games get to be played and we get to just find out. It's like this is the best reality TV there is.
Well, I think to your point, we're going to find out about Colorado Mesa here in the next month, because it's not just Central Washington. Then their next game is Pueblo, then Chadron, then Mines. So, they're not going to be the Colorado School Mines. So they're not going to be in a position where they're going to be able to knock off a couple of easy victories here and just kind of get into cruise control. We're going to find out one way or the other, what kind of offense Mesa has, because a couple of those teams are likely going to score, right? We learned that about Pueblo. It's probably going to take 3-4 touchdowns to beat Colorado State Pueblo this year. Chadron still remains to be seen about their offense, but their defense is salty. That they could be very similar to Colorado Mesa. So yeah, this Maverick team definitely interesting. Could be one of the dark horses in the league, and just really interested to see how their offense continues to evolve.
I want to give a big shout out to freshman Jack Burke, though. He had 1 reception in the game. That went for the touchdown, and that was the de facto touchdown. So big shout out to him. What a way to start your college career. Go Mavs. Yeah,
Aiden Taylor solid on the ground for Mesa on that one. Alex Turpin, 2 catches, 64 yards. Let's go ahead and transition here to the Chadron ball game. They did lose their week 0 matchup to Nebraska Kearney. Nebraska Kearney, been a much improved team here over the last 4 or 5 years. So no shame in losing to the Lopers. But let's talk about the headlines out of this one. For the Eagles offense, you see there Miguel Larios, 14 out of 20, fine efficiency there, but did throw 3 interceptions. He was knocked out of the game. You might have an update on their quarterback position out of this one. Tommy Thomas was only held to 25 yards, and he's clearly one of the best players in the league, certainly at the wide receiver position. So they'd like to get a little bit more out of him. He actually played some quarterback in the game, and they're going to have a different situation there at quarterback. But the defense continues to be stout. Second half shutout. I think Chadron might be in a lot of games like this year where their defense is really going to keep them in it. What are your takes on this loss here for Chadron State 18-6?
You got to feel for them. They're real excited with their starting quarterback, DJ Ralph, San Diego State transfer. For him to get hurt on the second possession of the game had to be really deflating as a team. I think they were riding a lot, thinking they had big expectations for him and what he could provide for them. But like you said, their defense is salty. It is. That front seven is going to come to play. They're going to compete, and they're a salty bunch. So I like you said, I can see them being in a lot of defensive struggles. But when you're in defensive struggles, a turnover here, a turnover there, that momentum could get going the other way. So I don't think that they should feel too bad, even with knowing that their coach said in a radio interview that DJ Ralph will be out for a couple weeks. I believe he said Tommy Thomas is actually going to be out next week, tomorrow, which is big loss. But I think the defense, knowing that they're just so stout, they're going to keep you in games. You make a play here, play there. Special teams can win games. I know Chadron and Coach Long preaches the special teams. So I think not the way you want to start your season, but hey, you didn't get blown out per se. I don't think so. 18-6, your defense, they play well enough to win. The offense has to come up and they have to play to that caliber.
Right. And I misspoke there. Lario's not the one that got injured. DJ Ralph, who's was supposed to be the guy there this year for the Eagles. So kind of hard to evaluate the offense a little bit there, especially if Tommy Thomas had to leave the game as well. I will say Jake Marshall showed out again as the bell cow there. I think that's a guy they can rely on, can carry the load, about 210 pounds there for Marshall. I will say University of Jamestown should be a winnable game for them. So hopefully that's an opportunity to get right before they have to play the Oredigers in a few weeks.
Man, these schedules. But moving on, we're going to move ahead to New Mexico Highlands hosted Eastern New Mexico. This one got away from a little bit. The box score, 63-37, is 63 points is, wow, big number. But like I had mentioned last week, I had asked if Eastern New Mexico was running the triple option again, which they are. And when you're running that offense, it's really hard to shut that thing down once it gets rolling. So I think Joey Cave came out and did his thing early. I think he showed, a lot of poise and just, he showed he had cojones and he did his thing. So I think they have some positives moving forward into next week. What do you think? What do you think looking at this this box score here?
Yeah, I'm with you on everything you said there. Obviously, you don't have to tell me about the challenge of, getting ready for that style of offense. I will say, let's tip our hat to the Greyhounds. Okay, they ran for 515 yards on 48 carries, 7 scores on the ground. So that's one heck of a day running the football. So obviously the Cowboys, I'm sure that was a little bit of an ego blow to their defense. But with that being said, their offense did get after it quite a bit. 37 points. That was as good as an output as we saw from an RMAC team this year. On the ground, Mason Peterson, 18 for 125. Nichols had a great day catching the football. And I'm with you. I like Joey Cave for sure. The guy's a baller. Love kind of his moxie out there. Love the way he moves. And he's an exciting player to watch. He'll move around. He'll pump fake. He'll throw, a little shovel pass if he needs to, kind of whatever he needs to do to get the job done. So I think Joey Cave's going to keep him in a lot of football games. he might make a mistake here or there, but he's going to look at that 12 completions for 263 yards. What does that tell you? Right there is a defensive guy. He's trying to push the ball down the field. So 3 touchdowns. Love to see that. And for New Mexico Highlands here, they're going to have another in-state team. Here in a couple of weeks, they'll play Western New Mexico, but they'll have a week off, which is probably the best possible thing for that coaching staff, be able to coach off their mistakes and, but as well, some of that stuff against that type of offense from a defensive standpoint, got to throw a little bit of that out the window as you're going to be playing spread teams for the next, rest of your life. So, tough first result there, giving up 500 yards on the ground, but I think some positive things to move forward on, and especially quarterback Joey Cave. Sign me up every week. I'll watch that guy play quarterback.
I think in addition to Cave, we got to look at Mason Peterson, 18 carries, 125 yards. That's some good production there. He's toting that thing. So I think Highlands, obviously you don't want to, nobody likes to lose. Nobody wants to lose. But I think they got some things that they can look forward to building on as they start this new journey with their new head coach.
Absolutely. All right. I've been looking forward to talking about this one here. Fort Lewis, William Joel. We both did take an L in the pick'em. I certainly did certainly here on the show, as well as in the RMAC pick'em. As they were just quite not able to cover the spread there. But let's talk about something extremely exciting for the Skyhawks, and that's the redshirt freshman out of Houston, Texas, Stone Walker. I mean, this dude is explosive. It was William and Jewell. I love to see it against the top tier teams, but something exciting to build off of down there in this freshman quarterback that can really, really move.
Oh yeah, he just completely changes the game. Their offense, there's so many things that he can do with his legs. So many things he can do with his legs that, mask certain things with their offense, as their offensive line is growing and building that cohesion and becoming a better unit, he can kind of help them out, because when things get bad, he can get out of there, and he looks like a receiver running in the open field. He's athletic as hell. So I'm super excited to see him grow. I'm excited to really see him grow more as a passer in Coach Cox's offense. Coach Cox has done really well with quarterbacks over the years. So I'm really excited about this kid. I think Fort Lewis just has to be excited. They were really in this game in the fourth quarter really late, and I don't know when's the last time. I mean, they had a close game with Adams last year, but to start the year off like this, I think they got to be a little bit excited.
I will say on the defensive side, you did give up 402 rushing yards to DeAndre McCullough. So once again, let's tip our cap there to one heck of a stat line, 25 for 402. That's about 16 yards a carry, 5 touchdowns, had one 90 plus. So obviously Fort Lewis got to get the run defense figured out, because we can't have that happening on a regular basis. But, to your point, just something to be excited about there in Stone Walker. I mean, you said he was moving like a receiver. I mean, he was easily the fastest, most explosive athlete on the field, and it didn't even seem close now. And a couple of clips I saw as well, I mean, he looked like he had a little bit of touch throwing the football as well. So, as it goes along, hopefully that passing game will become a little more sophisticated. I love that he was able to play in 3 games last year as a true freshman, get a little bit of seasoning, take the red shirt. And then let's shout out Trenton Sullivan, missed all last year with an injury. Vista Peak Prep kid, got to see him in high school, 6 tackles and a pick. And then Jacob Penny, the sophomore linebacker, that's a big day as well. 9 tackles, 3 for loss, and a forced fumble.
He is a baller. They have to figure out it was like they couldn't stop a faucet from running water last weekend. But I do think they have to be excited, though. That game in the fourth quarter, that drive, Stone, he reaches out. He's about a yard short. They score that touchdown. It's a 26-28 ball game. I imagine they go for 2 there. Who knows how that game plays out? So I think Fort Lewis, another loss. I believe that makes it 40 in a row, but some positives, definitely.
Yeah, they've got a week off as well. They'll play Arizona Christian on September the 14th. One more thing here on Stonewalker. I'm going to borrow this from the Pardon My Take, guys. When you're in that Skyhawks color scheme as well, that's just a fast color scheme as well. So Stonewalker extra fast in those home unis for Fort Lewis.
Oh, they might have the best unis in the league. Those are Nike too. I gotta say. I gotta say. But looking ahead at the games we got coming up for week 1. Week 0 was last week. This is officially week 1. This week, you see this lineup of games and give me some initial thoughts, Miles.
All right. Well, certainly I'm zeroed in on Colorado School Mines and West Texas A&M. That game will be happening tomorrow. I had a chance to chat with both coaches, been at Mines practice, chatted with Coach Lynn today. So, I'm certainly zeroed in there. I think it could be a good week for the league here. I think South Dakota Mines, it's going to be a tough game against Michigan Tech, but they've certainly got a chance to get a W. I think Chadron State should get a win, and Colorado School Mines should get a win. And then when you look at the games on Saturday as well, I think Black Hills State, they won that game last year in Missouri. We'll get to picking these games here in just a second. So I think they got a good chance to win that one. Should be a great game with CSU-Pueblo and UTPB. I'd also like the RMAC in that one. So this is kind of a fun week to be able to root for the league in a slate of games. I think they got a chance to win maybe 6 of the 7 games.
Oh yeah, I'm super excited. Obviously the Mines opener, big news. We're all excited to see what Mines looks like with a new guy not named Matoka leading the way, and then that Pueblo UTP, that's gonna be a banger. I can't wait. Like I'm gonna go to that one too this week, and I'm gonna be driving all over Colorado.
Nice.
I got to see all these games in person. Kicking things off though, it will be South Dakota Mines heading up to GLIAC foe Michigan Tech. Shout out to Coach Donnelly, my old DB's coach at Mesa, coaches up at Michigan Tech. But Michigan Tech, they suffered a defeat in their opening season bout with Bemidji State, but this was a good game. Went to overtime. Bemidji's a playoff team that you know pretty well. I'm sure you've seen a couple of times yourself. So Michigan Tech, quite an opponent. How does South Dakota Mines go in there and get this done?
Certainly got to get the offense back on track. I like what you said about their defense was just fine. Special teams was just fine, but got to find a way to be a little bit more explosive. Got to be able to run the football. And then I think, the guys that they know they can count on in the passing game have got to go out and get the job done for Mines. But I think both of these teams are going to be kind of in a desperate spot. You don't want to get to the Thursday of week 1 and be 0-2.
Oh,
right?
Man. You're absolutely right about that.
So, and look, that's no shame. Both of these teams scheduled really good opponents in week 1, top 25 type of teams, and then another good team from a good conference in week 2. So, that's the reality that you face when you have that kind of schedule. But, I think this will be a close one. I think Michigan Tech on the RMAC Insider Football Pick'em, they do have Michigan Tech as a 7.5-point favorite. I think that's probably fair. And I think I'd take Michigan Tech to win the game, but South Dakota Mines to keep it close. What say you?
I'm going to roll with Michigan Tech as well. I think they're going to be at home. They play in the GLIAC, which I do think at this point is very comparable. It might even be better than the RMAC, But watching them play Bemidji and how close they played Bemidji versus how SD Mines played Pueblo and the struggles they had with their offense, I'm going to lean towards Michigan Tech. But I think Mines, I don't think they're just going to get dog walked. So I got Michigan Tech winning by 10 points or so. But something I will say to the people that will be tuning into this game, this is going to be the linebacker fest. If you want to watch good linebacker play, you got Jacob Swab on SD Mines. You got Hunter Newsom, who's a baller. He had a sack last week, a couple TFLs. Hunter Newsom, he did his thing last week. But on the other side, Mark Sipple for Michigan Tech. Like I want to say last year he didn't lead it, but the year before he led the nation in tackles as like a sophomore. You want to see good linebacker play? Tune in Thursday night up north in Michigan. It's going to be some physical, fun football to watch for sure. Our next game we got yours truly. Tell me, set the stage for this. Set the stage for this game and what's going to go down at Marv K in Golden tomorrow night.
All right. First of all, we'd love to have you on the RMAC network or local Channel 3, KCDO, I believe, are the call letters there. It's going to be myself. And we got a new gentleman on the broadcast this week, Keenan Dixon. So my buddy Josh Dover out this week. So excited to work with Keenan. Used to be a quarterback. So excited to get his take there on Evan Foster. And I'll tell you what, it's exciting to see a new quarterback. Now, everybody makes it seem like, oh, John Matoka was there forever. He only played 4 years of college football. It wasn't like he played 6 years with some COVID. He played four solid years. So a little bit too much is made out of that. But in reality, it will be exciting to, have a new era, right? And I think a lot will be new, obviously, without John Matoka, but a lot is going to be the same. In the sense that Max McLeod and Flynn Sheely and Nick Stone and Landon Walker and then all the guys on defense. So we can get a little bit more into the nitty gritty here, but I'm just excited to see him play football. And certainly for West Texas A&M, I'm excited to see quarterback Fats Sean Johnson. He is an exciting athlete for sure. So seeing what he did last week, I told you over the phone earlier today that in last week's game, it looked easy for him. It really, really did look easy for him at Sul Ross State. So ran for 167 yards, threw for 139. They're going to need to be more balanced and dynamic in the passing game, but he is a fantastic athlete. And West Texas A&M's got a lot of athletes, obviously a Lone Star school. So, they're going to come in. It was only a 5-hour drive for them, very regular type of travel for them. They're not too far away in terms of altitude or anything like that. So this isn't going to be some super foreign environment, even though they've never played in Golden. So I anticipate them coming out and giving a really good fight. But also on the other side, I feel like Mines is a team that's hungry to prove maybe what people have been questioning here in the last 6-8 months about, what they're going to look like without John.
Oh yeah, I think Mines has. I think they're going to want to come out and make a statement. I'm just going to go ahead and get it out the way now. I'm going to pick Mines to win. I'm going to pick them to win by 2 scores, and I'm going to do that because I do think that they're going to come out really motivated. I saw them in the springtime. They have some dudes that got to come back that still want to prove some big things, and then they got some young guys that haven't got to play as much. Because there were some old, star caliber players that you couldn't just bench, but there's some young dudes that I've seen on the Mines defense, on their defensive front specifically, that I am very excited to watch play, that I think are going to wreak havoc in this game, quite frankly. So I'm going to go with Mines by 2 scores.
Okay. I was just going to have you pick against the spread. They got it here at 28.5. The Ordigers cover. According to what you said, no.
Yeah, I don't. No. Okay. I do think West Texas is going to come to play, and I do think his dual threat ability will. I think West Texas is. This is Coach Josh Lynn's second year. He's had some time to implement his system. He had a really good team and outfit there at Kearney, so I think they're going to be. I think they're going to come compete.
I spoke with him earlier, by the way. Really liked him. And Sean Johnson's a guy that played at Nebraska Kearney, and they had recruited him there. When he hopped in the portal, they immediately say, hey, that's a guy we want here, can be the feature of our offense. And, kind of like Evan Foster was sitting behind a superior talent there at Nebraska Kearney without really much of an opportunity to play. But he's definitely an electric player. I just think Mines is going to be coming in waves. When you think about the way it's percolated up, forget about the seniors and the guys they've had at the top, but 5-6 years here of guys waiting their turn, 0 entries into the transfer portal, all that talent. And you know what? For the first time as well, we're going to get to see a handful of guys. Let me mention one here in Jacob Sanders that have been recruited off of the success that they've had, right? This was a Mines program that was good but not great, right? In the previous, generation of players. And now they're recruiting off the success that they have had where they did elevate themselves into that, great.
They have speed now.
Elite tier. And so
they have speed now.
I think some of that coming to fruition is going to show off. For the first time, we're going to start to see some of those younger different kind of athletes. And so I'm excited to see that come to fruition on tomorrow night.
Well, once again, everybody, this is the voice of the Ore Diggers. So if you can't make it to the game, definitely tune in because Miles is great. You got some fun calls, dude. I was listening to some of them the other day as I whipped together some of these highlights. So I'm excited. I'll be at the game too. So fun times in Golden tomorrow. We can't wait.
Let me ask you, just by the way, because I spent all this time, I sit here for hours and hours and hours learning about these football teams. You got any questions on mine? You got anybody that you're kind of curious about? I got all this useless knowledge in my brain, so I might as well tell it to somebody.
I guess my question is something that me being the DB, having the DBs blind, I've been wondering, like, he obviously started playing a lot more last year, but I'm forgetting his name. I'm losing his name right now.
Drogosh?
No, I know. I imagine Will's going to be the other starting corner.
Yep.
Ramsey. Is Ramsey going to replace Jaden at the?
That is the plan. I would expect Joel Diaz to be in.
He's been playing too.
He'll be in the Jaden Williams role. Will Ramsey will be in that Logan Rayburn role, kind of more at the free safety. But yeah, Will Ramsey will be a big part of that secondary this year, and that's one of the spots where yes, they lose. They lose Cam Forrest, they lose Jaden Williams, and I can't underscore Jaden's impact certainly, and they lose Logan Rayburn, all guys that were really great competitors for them for years. But the likes of Will Ramsey, Joel Diaz, Will Drogosh, Devin Lauer, these type of guys that are now up on they've played a bunch of meaningful minutes in the years. You've seen firsthand kind of how Mines rotates guys defensively. And so they've been able to develop a lot of that talent. And so, certainly, and then with the stalwart Jackson Zimmerman, kind of holding down one part of the field. I'm excited to see what that group can do. Joel Diaz, I think, is a guy they've been excited about for a number of years as well there at safety.
I got one more for you. I don't want to get his name wrong. Receiver Axel
Richard. Yeah.
Is Axel going to break out this year in a big way?
So that's a great question. He's been one of my favorites to watch. I would love to see Axel Richard break out. I'll tell you that they don't have him listed on the two deep. The name that they're really excited about that's going to do a lot of different things is Mark McCurdy, the transfer from Davidson.
Is that the big tight end?
No, that is Braden Dirksen, and they're excited about him as well. And I'll tell you, that's a dimension they really haven't had over the years.
For a while, since I was playing, they used to have that.
Okay, right, but they really haven't had that tight end dimension. Blake Smotherman's a huge body that can really move down the field, and then Dirksen's a guy they're excited about there as a redshirt freshman. But with the depth they have at wide receiver, every time I talk to one of their guys, they just have 8-10 names that want to come out of their mouth. So they've done a great job there with my guy Ryan Dietrich and the receivers. And I think Axel Richards one of maybe 5-6 guys that's kind of trying to get his name in the rotation there. But I would say the name to watch is going to be Mark McCurdy from Park City, Utah, the transfer from Davidson. He's going to be the fourth guy. And he's pretty exciting. Has a lot of utility.
Awesome.
Yes, sir.
Moving along, we got the Jamestown Jimmies coming to play Chadron State. Chadron State started 0-1, lost their starting quarterback pretty early in the game. Their coach has already said on a radio interview this week that he is going to rotate quarterbacks. Miguel Larios, the guy who saw majority of the duties after DJ Ralph went down, is going to be splitting time with freshman Wyatt Sprague, who's, if I'm not mistaken, from Holyoke, Colorado.
Yep.
So it's going to be exciting just to see something new. I'm not going to act like I know too much about Jamestown. I know that they're going to be coming up to the NSIC here next year. But what do you think about Chadron's prospects of winning this game and getting their season going back in the right direction?
I definitely like their chances to win the game. I think for them, they'd love to come out and kind of have this be a get-right game. Although it's a tough spot, losing your quarterback and your top weapon. there. So I think they just want to get back into rhythm. You know, the offensive numbers here on the sheet, that's not what you want to see. You don't want to be at 214 yards a game. So they'd love for next week for that number to say 350 after the average. They want to get right. They want to play well, start feeling good about themselves. They got Mines next. So, this is definitely a game they got to come out and play well. Yeah, Jamestown 2-9 last year. All due respect to them. A lot of these teams that we don't know anything about, and we say, hey, we don't think they're going to be very good. By the way, no disrespect meant to any student athletes.
I'm not saying they're not going to be good. I just don't know. I don't know.
Period. But with that being said, yeah, I'd love to see Chadron come out, play well, kind of get the good feeling back in the building after only scoring 6 points last week. By the way, first time around, I meant to mention Reed Henkel, literally from about a half mile away from me here at Arvada West High School, 11 tackles last week. Great game for him. So love to see that defense swarm, make a bunch of plays, get Hunter O'Connor going, a couple sacks. He was relatively quiet last week, and get the offense back on track and see Chadron win big.
I am going to pick Chadron based on the fact that Jamestown not being at the D2 level yet, and Chadron, whether they're a great team or not, being a very stout team up front in the trenches, I'm going to lean into that, and I'm going to pick Chadron again to win this game. But I don't trust Chadron's offense, so I'm only going to pick them to win it by a score.
Well, they got the line set at 33.5.
Chadron winning by 33.5 points.
So I picked Jamestown to cover.
Yeah.
Because 33.5 is
stout. Until I see Chadron State score 30 points, I'm not going to.
Right.
Yeah, no way. So yeah. I do think Chadron wins, but I do think having a freshman quarterback that's going to get his first college reps, there's going to be some growing pains there, I would imagine.
Could be a little shot in the arm as well, though. Just have a little new energy.
Hey, it could be a Matoka. You never know.
Are we all out of games here?
No, we got games.
Oh, we got two more.
Everybody's starting this week. We got Black Hills taking on Southwest Baptist. Black Hills defeated Southwest Baptist. I want to say it was 39-33 last year. That was Black Hills' first one of the season. So a little bit of familiarity here. Black Hills 6-5 last year. I feel like they were knocking on that door after the 7-4 year, and I feel like last year they're probably a little disappointed, but they still return a lot of guys, and I'm sure they're really excited to kick off their season on their home field. Another year under Coach Bresky. How do you think this one plays out?
Yeah, I like Black Hills here for sure. Coming out, like you said, to start their season. They've got some good feelings with some of what they have coming back there. And, beat Southwest Baptist last year on the road in Missouri. Now they have them at historic Lyle Hare Stadium up there in South Dakota. So, give me Black Hills here for sure. As like I said, I like the RMAC to fare well in all these games this week.
Oh, yeah.
And we got the spread, by the way, on that one at 6.5.
Let me go back
Black
to
Hills. What do you think of that?
I think Black Hills covers that. I think they win by 10 or so.
I like it.
Awesome. So moving along, we got Western New Mexico coming into the great city of Alamosa to take on the Adams State Grizzlies. Coach Darrell Harrison in his heading into his fourth year, if I'm not mistaken. Still trying to get the Grizzlies turned around and headed in the right direction. They're taking on a Western New Mexico team that kind of got blitzed by UTPB. Look at that total offense number. That's crazy. But Adams had a lot of turnover. They lost some guys on defense. They brought in some new coaches and whatnot. How do you think the Grizzlies get year 4 under Coach Harrison started?
This one's just kind of a coin flip. Really kind of hard to know what the Grizzlies are going to be. They've got the spread here at 2.5 in favor of Western New Mexico, which I think is probably an indicator. Yeah, this is probably a pick 'em type of game. I'm going to be a homer and roll with my man, Coach Harrison, and the RMAC. but maybe just because they're at home and it's the start of the year, they got a good look at the opponent. Nobody got to see Adams State this year. We don't really know just a ton about them. So give me the Grizz, but with maybe a question mark.
Okay, I am actually I'm gonna go with Western New Mexico, but let me give you my reasoning. I'm gonna take the Mustangs because I feel like they've been bloodied. They played a game last week. Whether they won or lost, they went out, they hit, they tackled, they have film to watch now to correct mistakes and go off of. I imagine they'll probably improve a little bit this week. Adams, we don't know. I got to see it to believe it. Losing a guy like Daniel Mendoza, guy that had 100+ tackles. I think, I got to see what Adams has. I just don't know what Adams has. I think Western New Mexico gets it done in Alamosa. I know the Grizzlies aren't going to like me, but hey, man, prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. But we can move on. Next, we have this is a pretty big game after Midwestern started their season 1-0. Midwestern State heading up to Gunnison to take on the Western Colorado Mountaineers, opening up Mountaineer Bowl, the grand opening. So big weekend up in Gunnison. Do you think they can get things? Do you think they carry that momentum from last year and start this year in a big way, Miles?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Western didn't finish the season like they wanted to last year, certainly against Mines, and then in the playoffs as well. But I think that probably had to leave a little bit of a bad taste in their mouth. I love Jazz Baines, love Nash. I think yes, they did come out, Midwestern did, and get a victory, 18-11. I think you're going to have to score more points than 18 to beat this Western Colorado squad. So especially with the opening of the brand new stadium, these were guys that had to put up with playing on, a field last year that probably, they weren't excited to play on. They're going to be excited on Saturday to get out there and play in this, awesome new facility that means a lot to that program. These projects are not cheap. This takes a lot of contributions from a lot of people. I hear they got tugging at the wallet of Mr. Eckler out there at Western as well. So let's go with Western once again. I'm gonna be an RMAC homer this week. I think it could be definitely a close game, but Midwestern State, they're like I said, they're gonna have to score a lot more than they did a week ago. 49 yards of offense ain't gonna get it done against the Mountaineers.
Yeah, looking at that, 49 yards through the air, no way.
Yeah.
No way. And then I just don't think you're going to run for 207 yards on Western. I don't believe that, especially not like this early in the season without injuries having played a factor. I think Western is going to come out on fire. I got Western in this one by 2 scores. I think they're going to end up pulling away. And I think their defense is going to be super, super impressive. And I'm really excited to just watch Drew Nash in year 2. See how he's grown over the years. See like just what he's gonna be like this year. It's year 2. I think he got a taste of what it's gonna take to truly win at the top of this conference and in the playoffs. And I believe he's a hardworking kid. I've talked to him a couple times after games, so I'm really excited to see Drew Nash play. And I like Jazz. I like Jazz a lot. So yeah, I'm rooting for the Mountaineers. I got them winning by 2 scores in this one though. What's the spread say?
Yeah, the spread says 5.5. I'm with you. I like Western to cover there. I think the other thing about Drew Nash, last year with Davon Butler, he was definitely 1B in the offense. It was a running offense first. Mm-hmm. I think there's a decent chance that they might open it up a little bit more. We'll get to see a little bit more of the Drew Nash show this year. And you look at that 10-2 record from Western last year, whether they did lose Butler or not. I think Midwestern was 4-7, something like that last year. Yeah, give me the Mountaineers by a couple scores.
Awesome. And last but certainly not least, this is no offense to Mines, but this is what I have as game of the week. We have UTPB coming down to Pueblo, to the Steel City, This one is going to be, I imagine this one's going to be absolute fireworks from the jump. From the very jump, it should be fireworks. And I'm going to be there. How do you see this one playing out after seeing Pueblo come out so impressively last week?
Yeah, I think Pueblo certainly impressed a lot last week. I think that's going to be a team in South Dakota. That's not an easy team to blow out, right? I mean, I think you alluded to that earlier, that they're prideful. You're not going to see them lose by 4 or 5 scores very often. So this Pueblo team definitely came out with an impressive opening statement. They got the line here at Pueblo 6.5. I think that's fair. But wow, you look at the 2 offenses from week 1. Each went for 400 yards of passing, over 550 total. So should be a fun one to watch. And I think, Pueblo just has a lot of weapons. It's going to take a lot to outlast them this year. So I'll take the Pat.
I am going back and forth on this one because I do think Pueblo is a team that's on the rise. I like I said, if there's any team that's going to challenge the Ore Diggers, I said it. I planted my flag. I think it'll be Pueblo this year. But having actually watched the South Dakota Mines game, those highlights can be misleading. Yes, they threw for 508 yards. Yes, 35-6 is an amazing win. But that was it wasn't they could have blown them out way more. It was a 14-3 game at halftime. You know what I mean? They had a field goal blocked. They threw an interception in the red zone. Their offensive line, I still think, has some ways to go. So I'm gonna go with UTPB. I'm gonna pick UTPB to win by 3 points. Look at those defensive numbers. 118 yards, held your opponent to 118 yards. I'm gonna lean into that. I know they're gonna be explosive, just like Pueblo is. I think they're gonna I think they're gonna have the athletes to, at least, somewhat try to stop what Pueblo has on offense. So I'm going to go with UTPB, and I think they're going to win this one on the road.
I'll tell you what, though, this is definitely one worth watching. I would also call it the game of the week here for the league, as this will be a pretty good measuring stick for Pueblo and probably the RMAC in general.
Pueblo, I think they have to win one of the next 2 games if they want to have some legitimate playoff hopes down at the end of the season. So I think these next 2 weeks are huge for Pueblo. But, I've seen Pueblo play in games of this magnitude. I'd say, when they play Western, it's kind of this magnitude within our conference. When they play Mines, it's of this magnitude in that conference. When's the last time they beat either one of those teams? It's been a while.
True. I will say, though, the Thunder Bowl, tough place to win.
Oh, yeah. I've never won there. I've never won there. Admittedly, I never won there myself. But, we got a lot of games. Is there anything you'd like to leave everybody with before we cut them loose? And
all I would say is anybody around Golden tomorrow, make sure come say hello. If you see, you'll be there tomorrow.
Oh yeah, I will be there. I'll be down there. I'm gonna hit you up before the game.
Absolutely. So, if you see myself or Antonio walking around, please come say hi. And just excited to get after it myself here with getting back on the horse and ready to see some quality football matchups this weekend, as it really feels like last week was a great little kind of appetizer to the season. But now, we're going to have an NFL game tomorrow night. All the high school stuff is in full swing. We're really now, it's football season. And so I'm just stoked. I'm just glad to have a full football weekend.
It's the best time of the year. And hey, best of luck to all the players. Some teams started their week 0, started last week. Some guys are just starting this week. If you're just starting, wish you guys all the best of health, and let's go play some football, man. I'm excited.
All right. Well, for Antonio, my name is Miles Dunklin. So long, everybody. We'll see you again next week.